And in our culture, like it totally is a role that, grannies had been in. Even if you look back many years ago, the midwifery role was a lot more blended with a doula.
Definitely.
Whereas now it's kind of evolved into
Yeah.
more of a healthcare role, and they don't do as many things with, tinctures
Yeah.
and castor oil.
Welcome back to Young and Gifted, the podcast where we dive deep into conversations that matter. Today we're talking about the transformative role of doulas and how they support families through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journeys. My guest, Joshuelle, a dedicated doula and educator who blends her hospitality background with her passion for reproductive rights, wellness, and mental health. She's here to share her insights on what it truly means to provide holistic support during one of life's most significant transitions. Joshua, welcome to the show. Was that right?
Thank you, Vaughn. Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Good? Okay,
That's
good.
all accurate.
It's ChatGPT.
It's so funny. I was going to ask because I recently wrote a bio for a conference, and I used ChatGPT and then just like edited it down.
Yeah, it's
good.
I wish I had ChatGPT when I was in school. It helped so much because I could just like all I did. I literally, first I copied the link to your LinkedIn and I put it in.
Oh wow!
But then it was like Joshua, and it was like technology. Were you in technology at all?
Like I worked for Uber when they launched in London. Oh. So that's Uber Technologies is the name of the business, probably as it's listed on my LinkedIn.
So it went through everything and it was like, it was like technology, like this person is a master in technology.
That's not true.
Yeah. So then I screenshotted the first part.
Okay.
And I put it in, and then that's when this came up. But that's because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. This was the doula and that kind of stuff. So for those who might not be familiar, right? What is a doula and how does it differ from a midwife?
Yeah, that's a question I probably get the most from folks who don't know what a doula is as yet. So basically, midwives and doulas and obstetricians and labor and delivery nurses were all part of the care team. Doctors, nurses, and midwives, they're responsible for someone's medical care, right? So they're doing things like exams and assessments. They're the ones looking at the ultrasounds, taking people's blood pressure, their pulse. They're looking at people's health, specifically offering reproductive health care. Whereas my role is more so, I'm a health advocate, yes, but I'm not offering that kind of care. So it's more emotional support, physical support, literally, as people are in labor and pushing their little babies out. I'm there supporting them and offering tools and ways and techniques to help labor progress. And then there's a big advocacy role as well. So that often looks like helping people communicate their questions to their care team, because sometimes folks are intimidated by our healthcare system. There's kind of this hierarchy where the patient comes into a space where they're, a clinical space, and they feel like they just have to do what they're told.
Yeah.
They want to be a good patient. But being a good patient is maybe following policies, but that might not help you accomplish your health goals. So that's where doulas kind of come in. And another, important role is supporting, my clients, the birthing person and their partner feel that they are actually helpful, that they know what's going on, that they feel like empowered to love on their person.
Yeah.
And there's also some education in it. So doulas are generalists. We know a little about a lot, right. Whereas like a midwife knows a lot about labor and delivery. The specific, yeah.
So you deal with you help patients even after that's postpartum.
Yeah, that's postpartum. Yeah. Exactly.
So you help with like the postpartum depressions and that kind of stuff.
Yes, well, it's interesting that you say that, because so often the word postpartum is kind of conflated with postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Right? They even, some people will say postpartum as an abbreviation for postpartum depression.
Exactly.
Or like they had postpartum as like a condition. Whereas postpartum is just like, the period following birth. Some people might say it's, 40 days or 6 weeks or 6 months or a year. Everyone has their own definition, but it's just like that period
Yeah.
following delivery. Yeah, and so that care, sometimes it looks like mental health support and connecting people with resources to manage their mental health, talking to them about like affirmations and just kind of managing their expectations around what that postpartum period is going to look like, so that there's not as much, disappointment, or
Yeah.
they're imagining it to be a certain way that's maybe a bit unrealistic,
Yeah.
and then
Like the
feeling
movies.
really, yeah, exactly, and then feeling really like upset if it's not like that. So a big thing that I do is kind of like demystifying
Yeah.
birth and postpartum. And it also looks like, support with like breastfeeding or chest feeding and newborn care and getting used to like normal newborn behaviors. And, pregnancy literally changes people like
Yeah.
permanently, right? Like their brain changes and rewires, and there are all these hormones in their system that are surging to support all these like maternal behaviors. So it makes sense that, of course, like, moms are more sensitive to the goings on with like the
Yeah.
babies. And I mean, you could argue that it's no good to have both parents tired. So,
No, exactly. I mean, somebody need to work, right?
yeah,
Somebody need to work.
people, this every relationship will have their own version of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like something that a lot of people overlook is talking to fathers, new fathers, about postpartum depression, and the whole postpartum period, because we focus so much on moms that people neglect the fathers, and the fathers are like sitting ducks. So a lot of the time, these fathers they don't even know about postpartum depression. So I like a lot of the young guys who come to the shop. Like last week, there was a guy who his girlfriend is due soon, and I had to tell him, I'm like, I'm not. It doesn't happen to everyone.
yeah,
But if it does happen, just understand that she doesn't hate you. She just has a lot of emotions happening at the same time, and she doesn't know how to control it
yeah,
as good. So try your best. And a lot of relationships end in that first little period, right? Because they have to deal with so much things, and a lot of the men they don't understand that she going through something where her body changed, all her dreams. She started to think about all her dreams. A lot of women, I feel like, I could be wrong. A lot of women, I feel like, they feel bad for not having a connection as the baby is born.
Yeah, that's a high expectation. I think that is like
because
placed on folks when they're giving birth, because like there's just the shock of it all, right? And adapting to your new life, and really like regardless if someone has some kind of escalated perinatal mental health kind of episode or not, there are these like 2 to 3 weeks after birth where people experience what's called like the baby blues, and it's because they're experiencing like the largest hormone drop that they'll ever experience in their lifetime. And that's just associated with like more volatile moods and deeper sadness and crying without knowing why, and that's just like universal. And then for some people it does escalate, it doesn't, they continue to not feel like themselves, and also feeling like disconnected from their baby potentially, or it might even show up as like postpartum rage, like towards their partner. And so it's a good thing, Bon, that you're informing the masses
I tried,
about this.
One of my other boys, his baby's like 2 now. He called me one time and he told me thanks. He's like, thanks for that. Because it helps, and most, especially like young guys, like when a guy get older, it's different. Like having a baby in like your late 20s and 30s, you understand life way more as a woman, right? I'm not saying that it's easier. I'm not saying that you understand life way more. You way more mature. So a lot of emotions you already know how to control. But when you have a baby at like 20, and you had all these plans for your life, and then you have a baby, and then you start to think that, oh, all my plans gonna be gone, but he getting to go to work, he getting to go on with his life, he getting to, so a lot of these things happen, and then men just be like, oh, she's trying to stop me, but it's not that, it's just that they're going through something that you need to be a little more understanding.
Yeah, and like this is why like community is so important, and having people in your community that are not just the same as you, you know, like going through different
Yeah.
phases of life, and so that people have examples to witness and to maybe follow, or actively make different decisions in their lives. Because without that exposure, like how would anyone know?
Yeah.
Especially if their parents haven't been transparent about it. And for most people in our generation, like our parents are baby boomers, and they're not gonna necessarily want to like sit
No.
down and like detail the challenges they faced as they
They
became
they
parents.
even believe in depression. My
Yeah.
mom told me, what's this depression thing that everyone is talking about? My
Mm-hmm,
brother's going through a
mm-hmm.
divorce, and she's like, what depression? I'm like, mommy, no, what's depression?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
There's
is I don't know. It's I guess it's just like open conversation, especially around like our community. You know, it's something
mm-hmm,
that we don't talk about at all when it comes
mm-hmm.
to that kind of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
and it's something that people need to talk about some more.
Yeah. And like in my role as the doula, in my intake forms, I ask people like, what are their expectations of me? Tell me a little bit about your physical health history. Tell me a little bit about your mental health history. And it's rare that those two things are separated on an intake form.
Yeah,
So from the jump, I'm trying to destigmatize mental health
what is yeah.
challenges. And then I also, another one of their intake forms is the perinatal mental health like risk factor assessment or something like that. So it's basically just a checklist that people can go through, and it's so that they can identify what risk factors they have from their life that may predispose them to some kind of perinatal mental health thing. So that includes depression, postpartum anxiety, OCD, psychosis, even. Like there's quite a generous list aside from just depression. But so people can consider what kind of strikes they might have against them, and then consider like what do I want my support system to look like, so that if and when this goes down, we have a plan,
Yeah.
and we're not just like scrambling trying to figure out what to do
Everything.
next.
Yeah, and especially now because even like I feel like back in the days they had way more help. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and nowadays it's something that the podcast was talking about again is like nowadays families are so like isolated.
Yeah.
You know, like whereas
Yeah.
like when your mom had you, your
Mm-hmm.
grandmother probably was around. I don't know
Yeah,
what it
she
was, but
was. Yeah, my
you know,
grandmother was around. My aunts were
yeah, your aunts were
around.
there. You know,
Yeah.
like we can remember spending most weekends and vacation with
Mm-hmm.
cousins. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they always had a support, but now, and the economy too then do help because they'll be
For
working
sure.
24/7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's just a tough place to be. You know,
Yeah.
so for someone who's having a baby and never even thought of a doula, right? How would they like how would someone even decide if like how like about doula?
Yeah.
Like
How would they hear about it?
like how would they hear about it and how would they be like, you
Sure.
know, I think I might need a doula.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the kinds of people that tend to send me emails and say that they're looking for doula support, they tend to be very interested in their holistic wellness. So instead of just going through, Western health, methods of like going to see your doctor, going to see, I guess like your dentist as part of Western
Yeah.
health, they may consider other things like physiotherapy, like acupuncture, like
Oh,
massage
okay.
therapy.
More like natural
Yeah,
natural
exactly. Like they consider other modalities in
yeah.
their care. Um, and so they tend to have that in common. But aside from that, they're pretty diverse group,
Yeah.
Some folks come from great means, some people have a lot less. And so I also offer like compassionate pricing, which is like also kind of known as sliding scale in a
Yeah.
way, so that if someone felt
Can't
like
afford it, right?
they really want doula support but they have a limited budget, that we can work with them and maybe find some offering that like myself and my team is like comfortable with offering that care, and also is like meeting the client's needs.
Yeah. So it's not supported by like government
No,
funding.
it's not. No, it's not. So there are some private healthcare or private health
Insurance.
insurance companies, yeah, that will cover some or all of doula support. But it's private, so I'm self-employed. I don't report to like a college or something like
Yeah.
that. Um, And yeah, maybe that'll change in the near future. I know so many of my clients and other people who I know that have had doulas, they're like, everyone should have a doula.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's like having
A
like a
granny.
health advocate
Who's a
friend.
grandmother. You
Child,
know?
who's a grandmother? I guess I am an old
No,
soul.
how your granny would be there, like, well, not your granny, but like the kid's grandmom would be there to
Mm-hmm.
like pick him up in the middle of the night and give
Mm-hmm.
you advice. That's what I mean
Yeah,
by
yeah, for sure, for
by
sure. And
have.
in our culture, like it totally is a rule that, grannies had been in. And even if you look back many years ago, like, 100, 200 years ago, um, the midwifery role was a lot more blended with a doula.
Definitely.
Whereas now it's kind of evolved into
Yeah.
more of a healthcare role, and they don't do as many things with, tinctures
Yeah.
and castor oil
So
and
my
belly binding. The midwives don't offer that anymore. That's more of like a traditional
so
midwife.
my mom was a midwife. My mom,
Mm,
yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I search up on doula
yeah.
is what she would do. Like, she used to do like Lamaze classes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
What did you think about the whole birth? Was it the first birth you witnessed? I imagine, yes.
Which one, Jada?
Jada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you feel present? Like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, like my mom was actually like, so my mom would tell me what to do.
Okay.
It's the same as you
That's-
say
yeah,
that you tell
yeah, that's what I do.
You know, so my mom would tell me what to do to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she would say, okay, do this, do that. You know,
mhm.
at one point I fell asleep. She's like, no, you can't do that one.
Yeah, yeah.
But she also was, at some point she's like, yo, you go ahead and sleep, because when the baby comes, she would sleep and then you would have to be up.
Exactly.
You know. So I did go and see, but the whole process, the baby was something that was surreal. I should
Are
say.
you seeing it? Are you having a flashback?
Yeah, no, I am because like I can remember seeing like
yeah.
everything went smooth. To me, the first time seeing Jada was I don't know, was how to even feel about it. It was yeah.
Yeah.
There's now a word,
Indescribable.
yeah,
Indescribable.
exactly. You know, I don't think there's a word that I could. Yeah, it's indescribable. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's honestly, I am in awe of what the female form is capable of. Like, I've seen it happen so many times.
yeah,
And every time I'm just like, wow, like how is it like the miracle of life? It's just so fascinating and like remarkable.
Yeah.
And I've been able to learn about it at like the microscopic level and also see it happening in like the macro level. And it's always just blowing my mind.
Captivating,
Yeah.
It's something that that's why I say, like, I think my blessing honestly was that I had a girl first, you know, only because I feel like seeing her for the first time, and I don't know how, as I said, indescribable. The like, she teaches you a lot of emotions. What's the history with doulas? You know the history with doulas?
The history with doulas.
Yeah,
like in Canada, so to speak, or
like in the whole like why did they come, like, you know, like,
I think they've always been around in some capacity.
yeah,
You know, they may not have been called doulas at the time. Maybe they were called the midwife. Maybe they were called, even in the UK, it was the nuns that were doing a lot of this kind of work. Maternal care wasn't necessarily done by healthcare providers because it's not an illness, right? It's just part of the human cycles. And so the people that were supporting pregnant people through labor and delivery and supporting them postpartum weren't necessarily like they didn't necessarily have formal roles, right? You also can consider that the communities were more integrated, and so someone who's, maybe my sister is with me when I'm giving birth, and she herself has given birth 5 times and been at 5 other births, because that's just the way the communities worked back then.
Right.
Like my grandmother, Elaine John, she's a Trini woman, and she was at so many people's births because she was a trusted elder and people loved her and they could count on her to care for them and to show up. And so she wasn't a doula, but she naturally just kind of adopted some of um, those traits and those responsibilities.
Yeah.
Because people have been having babies since people have been around.
Yeah.
So there's always been this care role, and it's just kind of shifted as medicine has evolved,
Yeah.
and as midwives have become, covered by OHIP on Ontario. I think that's since 1993 or 1994. And that's when you kind of see a clear division between the doula role and the midwife role, as far as I know, because one was medical and had, an association and like a, formal schooling, whereas the other was less formal.
Yeah.
What got me really interested was a family or a personal experience that I had at a young age with one of my cousins. And my mom and her are really close. They're only like 14 years apart. And when my cousin was pregnant, I was seeing her often. Like I remember when she announced the pregnancy and, she wasn't showing. And as her belly grew, and then the Christmas before her son was born, I think she must have been like eight months pregnant at that point. And she was laying down, and I could just see like one of his, like maybe his knee or his elbow, like move across her belly. And I was just shocked. I was dumbfounded. And it really connected the two things of like the form of a pregnant person and the actual life that is within them.
Yeah.
Because I think kids will just see things from the outside and it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
We're not able to like put the pieces together. But I think in that moment I recognized like
it's an actual life.
It's an actual life. It's not a doll. It's not like
somebody's actually in there.
It's not just a theory. Like there's literally a person with like, all the same organs that I have that's gonna be birthed out of her body. And after she gave birth to him, we were there shortly after, and there were some challenges with his birth that I was like privy to, and I thought those things were interesting, and I wanted to know more. I think I was just a really curious kid, and then with my grandmother, I used to watch The Birth Story on TLC, and I think I probably had questions for her too. And she was, happy to answer them and to watch the show with me. I think even just spending that time with her, doing something that I was interested was really like affirming. And
Is your granny still alive?
No, she's not.
Oh.
She passed in 2020 or 2018.
2018? And when did you start being a doula?
2018.
Yeah. See? Everybody.
Wow, good insight, Vaughn. Good insight. A lot of people
tell me I should be a therapist, but because I feel like that really brought you guys close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when she was gone, I'm not saying that it's the reason why, but you felt close to her. That's why you're granny. See? How from the start I said it's like a granny.
Yeah.
It came
for
back,
sure. I deeply admire my grandmother, my maternal mother, the one that my mom's mom. She's from Trinidad. She had my mom at home in Trinidad with a midwife attending it. Her name was Barbara Dove, and it was only I think after she passed and we were going through albums that we came across the picture of her midwife, and my Aunt Gemma, who was, I guess 8 when my mom was born, recognized her. Was like, oh, that's your mom. That's who delivered your mom. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is so cool to get more of this information.
Where, do you know where they're from in Trinidad?
La Brea.
Oh, from South.
Yeah.
Pitch Lake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just like up the street from Pitch Lake. And Barbara Dove, the midwife, wasn't just a healthcare provider, right? Like she was immersed in community. She was their friend. She would like come over and line with them, Yeah. So, it's just nice to consider those like tendrils into the past, those things that connect me with this field.
It creates a thing though, on another level that your granny left, but then her spirit came on you.
Yeah. My mom says that of all the grandkids, I'm probably the most like her, and that I love to have a good time. I love fiercely. If I'm stepping out, I'm gonna look sharp. Like I'm gonna look good. I laugh really loudly and big, like she did. And yeah, I think she is definitely an inspiration for me. But when she passed, I think grief is such a powerful force
Yeah. If
that
you use it properly.
sure,
If you use it
sure, yeah,
properly.
powerful good, powerful bad,
Yeah.
and everything in between. But after she passed, I just looked at my life with a whole lot more cruel honesty. And so I like quit my job.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, this is not my purpose. Like, if I'm going to be on this earth and, having this air in my lungs and having that privilege of like being alive and well, I should be doing something that I enjoy,
Yeah.
something that I want to do forever.
Yeah. You
And
watch more, no? You watch more, no? Because
yes,
that's kind of like
Moana's one.
yeah, the one,
Yeah.
yeah, where after the
Yeah.
granny died, then she decided that
Hmm.
she needed to take
That
that
was a
that jump.
powerful scene. That was
Yeah.
a really powerful
You
scene.
know, so yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's really, because even when we were in college, like I didn't know you to be into this. Well, I don't
Hmm.
think we was we was close, but it was more like friendship. It wasn't
Yeah.
like oh, I know exactly what she doing and she know exactly what I doing. So it
Yeah.
was
We're
like
too caught up in our own lives
exactly. We were
to
so
think that
yeah,
way.
we was in college. We was just partying, and
Back then, though, I wanted to be an OBGYN. So I still wanted to work with pregnant
oh,
folks.
so
Yeah.
so is that what you went to school for?
So I went to school. I did my Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry.
Right.
I wrote my MCAT. And then all of my other, peers were also writing their MCAT around the same time. And a lot of those people were like my lab partners and like fourth year. And I just felt like I didn't have much in common with them.
Yeah.
I felt like they were really book smart and they were really like competitive and just had a certain way about them. And for me, I feel like I'm far more relationship oriented and
Life oriented too.
yeah, like maybe life oriented. Yeah.
Because
And the way our healthcare system is set up, there just isn't time for, doctors and patients to establish the kind of rapport and relationship that I would want to have.
yeah,
So I found another way to do that.
that's good. So as an OBGYN, you can make more money.
Sure. Yeah.
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 But you choose a part that was for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but because I'm talking to you, and like the more I talk, like of not all guests, but a few of the guests that come, right? You when I talk to them, I start to realize how much more we had in common than it think. And this is one of the reasons I really started podcast, is because I felt like I was always so busy and caught up in my own life that I never really get to sit down and talk to somebody to the point where like, oh, this person make all the bad decisions that I made too. Like, oh,
Sure.
we not chasing the money, we chasing something that is deep rooted into purpose, and hopefully the money will follow.
Yes,
Hopefully
exactly. That's the
money
mindset you have to have for it.
yeah, because you still need money to survive, but even me as a husband now, I find myself a lot of the times not focusing on money. Like I get the money for my family, but when I get the money, I just give it to them. I don't care to have my own money. I don't care to have like I had a joke last week. We went to a restaurant, and the lady came with the bill and gave it to me, and I had to pass it to Christy because she has everything.
She has all that.
But for somebody looking in, they'd be like,
Yeah.
look at this black boy using this white girl for all her money.
Well, I think there's something beautiful about that kind of like almost a traditional setup. I'm pretty sure it was the same with my grandparents.
Yeah,
where,
exactly,
like,
exactly.
my grandfather's salary was the thing that paid all the bills.
Yeah.
And whatever my grandmother earned was like kind of for funsies.
Yeah.
Like
Because
she had, her collective like investments with her friends. I think they would go on trips, and
Yeah.
she was the one who was buying. Like she had a closer understanding of what the household needed.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what you need, right? Because for me, is like it have no greater joy. Well, it have other greater joys, but it have no greater joy than seeing your family benefit from the fruits of your labor. And
Yeah.
you want, whenever they step out, for people to know that somebody taking care of them. Like somebody, like
Sure.
so that's my thing. I just want them to always know that they could come and take, like Annie goes and take my sweaters, you know.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah, she's at that age.
yeah,
I
she's at that
guess.
age. She goes and take my sweaters. She like they go and they take whatever they want. Like sometimes they come to me after doing laundry and say, "Oh yeah, we found this." It's like $40. No, you can't get my $40. You know, they always find like stuff. But I think that's a blessing for me to know that I have kids that know that they have access to everything that you have.
Yeah, that's really, and honestly, that's not the default in parenting,
Yeah.
right? I think there are probably some really selfish parents
Yeah,
out there, and like that selflessness is going to be something that your children are taught to admire in other people as they go about the
Yeah,
world.
and they
Like,
have
that's
their
a
own
beautiful
relationships
thing.
like that, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
anyway. I don't want to keep you too much. I know we didn't even get to talk about the yoga, but I felt like
Oh, that's
yeah,
okay. That's
I felt
okay.
like the doula to me was like it's so interesting because it's like it's something that anybody who wants to have a kid
Mm-hmm.
have to go through no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they have to go through a doula, but these steps into
Mm-hmm. Of course, the
uh,
baby's got to come out somehow.
exactly. So it was yeah, it was fun to talk about that and kind of get caught up into that conversation.
No,
But
it's great. Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Uh, I I teach at Fanshawe College in their doula studies program, and I am running a business that also has a team of doulas, and so that includes a little bit of mentorship. I talk about the doula world a lot. Hopefully, I did it justice
yeah,
today. You know, not speaking to other people who know kind of the lingo
yeah,
to kind of make it accessible and like
definitely.
approachable.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you ever have any other topics when it comes to doula that you want to come on and talk about, I'm always
Hmm.
open to have these conversations and to educate people who may not know and who may not even have been thinking about a doula. You
Yeah.
know, as
Yeah.
to why it like a lot of the issues that you're gonna have could be avoided. You know,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
and yeah, it's just to
Sure.
educate yourself sometimes. You know, even if
Yeah.
it's not to pay for a doula for the whole time, but just to get the education of
Mm-hmm.
what is to come and what to
Totally.
expect, rather than watching movies and seeing it as all fun and a little bit of chaos.
Yes.
Is you know, and
Yeah. In the movies, the water breaks. We're like, ah, get me to
yeah,
the hospital. It's like it very rarely looks
yeah,
like that.
my Christie's water break while I was sleeping,
Mm.
and we was in bed, and the whole bed was wet. You know. I thought it was me. I was like, oh, did I pee again?
Again.
Did it happen again? Happen again? Oh,
Oh
but
gosh.
yeah, but it was good to have you on. And as I say,
Mm-hmm.
if we could ever come on and talk more about the whole doula wheel and any other wheel that you want to talk
Yeah.
about, I'd be happy to have you back.
Thank you, Vaughn. I mean, you talked about, Black maternal health and like mortality rates, and that's something that's a whole other like mammoth of a conversation. But I think this is a good little sample
Yeah,
of the world, and maybe another time we can kind of,
yeah.
explore that a bit more.
Thanks again. And before you go, I don't know if you want to leave any closing remarks. You know, like where people could find you. You know.
Sure, sure. So again, my name is Joshuelle. I am the founder and owner of Baby Love Doula Services. We're based in London, Ontario, and serve the surrounding area as well. I am on Instagram at babylove.doula and also just on the internet. I prefer that people access my website.
Yeah.
That's where you can really understand what we have to offer you. I'm also either teaching yoga or practicing yoga pretty often at And Asanas. That's also here in London, Ontario.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would love to connect with you if you're curious about how doulas can support your journey, or if you'd like to become one, or if you already are and you just wanna connect and explore other topics further.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just before we close, I would say at first when you changed your name to Baby Love Doula, I thought it was Baby Love Dougla. I was like, oh gosh, but these Douglas can't give me
Oh
a
my
chance.
gosh.
Baby Love Dougla, God. Because she is from Trinidad, so it was like,
Mhm,
oh gosh, this girl just
mhm.
went straight Trini.
Yeah,
Baby Love
yeah.
Dougla, but yeah,
Well, it's funny because even like Baby Love, I always think of it like at the beginning of like a Sean Paul song. It's like Baby Love, or like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But thanks a lot, Joshua.
Thanks, Vaughn.
I know
Thanks
we'll
for
talk
having
again
me.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Was it easy?
Do you do much editing in general?
Oh yeah, it's like I have two. I just finished one today, and I have one next one I have to edit right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's I do a lot of editing. I try to keep busy. You know, it's the best way to do it. I think I feel like I just like to stay busy.
Oh, you like to stay busy.
Yeah, like if I'm not busy, then I feel like a loser.
Oh my god.
I get depressed. I ask Christy like on Sundays when we have nothing to do and I'm just home.
Yeah.
I go crazy, so we had to like find something to do. Like we
Oh
go
my
to like
gosh.
yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
I need to be active at all. I think it's the ADHD in me.
Oh, if you have ADHD, then sure, that's
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
I mean, I was never diagnosed because you know
Okay.
we from the Caribbean, we don't get diagnosed. You know,
That's true.
but
That's
all these signs were there. You know, all these signs.
Well, I feel like it's common in self-employed people in general. Like you're so used to being a self-starter and having the initiative to do things that
Yeah.
like that's just the way your mind is working.
Exactly. And then
so,
when I was younger, it was hard to do like exams and them kind of stuff. And then but as I get older now, I realize that that's because of that. Like I would know these things, and then when it comes to exam, I would just like shut down. You know, and then like all my reports in school would be like needs to be more challenged, isn't challenged enough, and
yeah.
So
That's I feel like so common. My report cards as a kid always said like homework was either satisfactory or needs improvement. I did not like to do my homework. And then also I was always talking in class and then be like, Joshuelle is distracting the other students.
And that's
She's too chatty. And that's a sign that the kids are not like challenged enough.
Yeah. And that's Jada, no, right? Jada is like, that's how I know like a lot of teachers is like would like, well, not a lot, like a teacher now would like say certain things. And then I'd be like, that's Jada for sure, you know? Like I know who she is. So nobody could tell me something that is not true. So if the teacher say, oh, Jada speaks in class and distracts the student, I'm not the parent that's going to be like, no, she doesn't. You know? Like I know for a fact that was Jada. You know?
I think though there's a certain culture right now, I think, of parents who think their kids are always right.
No, yeah.
And it's important that your kids
but I feel like that stem from from parents not believing the kids at all. So these kids grew up to saying, I must stick up for my kids no matter what. You know? And then it kind of backfire.
Yeah, I think so.
But, yeah.
I don't know. The thing with me is I'm not a parent yet. So I think, you know, they say the people who aren't parents are the best parents, like in their minds.
Yeah.
But then to actually do it is a whole other thing.
Parenting is fun. You know, parenting is fun. I think everybody should try it one time in their life. At least.
One time?
At least once, you know? But,
I mean, it's till the day that you die that you're a parent. It doesn't ever stop.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been the same person if I didn't have Jada and them.
Of course.
You know? I don't know.
Of course, and you got a bonus child too,
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
like another experience that most people don't have.
And I always say that it was a pro get marrying somebody who already had a kid to me, because I saw how she dealt with not only the kid, but how she dealt with the father of the kid, even though they wasn't together.
Yes.
And how that relationship was. And for me, it was like, you know, at least I know that if the worst happened, it wouldn't be, you know, let me destroy your life type of deal, you know? So,
yeah.
I don't know, we could add it all this out. But, but it's, you know, before we even get into that, I know we were talking a little bit before, but, because I know you from time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know, from time.
From like second or third year of university, so like 2013.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and now I have kids and you married. Well, I married too. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just surreal how everything come back around full circle. You know.
Even coming to your house this evening, I was like, oh my goodness, like. Juan, he's like married with kids. He has a home and like all these things.
And it's messy everywhere.
And I remember when I think you were living with like Rudy and Jeffrey.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
In like in an apartment. Yeah.
And like before you came, my instructions from Christy was to take out the trash because there's a poopy diaper in it. So I had to take out the trash and put it outside. It's different. It's cool, but it keeps you grounded, you know. Yeah, it's like,
and you definitely need that in life.
yeah,
Kids in a family is always gonna ground you.
yeah, and especially for me, I think I needed, you know, out of all the people who I knew, I thought that I would be the last to be the way I am, but I don't know, it does kind of challenge you to be better, I guess. You know, like you had to be strict.
Are you strict?
Like they think so sometimes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not strict like our parents strict. You know, I'm strict like,
okay,
let's get things done, but we're gonna have fun with other things. So I wouldn't say that I'm strict like everything needs to be in order.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that it had to be a kid and it had to have all these emotions and so I could kind of balance it. I wouldn't say I'm strict. I would say that I could be serious. You know, so I don't think I'm strict. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how to. I would say that I'm modern strict, maybe.
Modern strict. I feel like the word strict just is associated with like oppressing someone in a way, you know. Like being unreasonable in your discipline and your punishments. I feel like it's strict.
Yeah, no. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not like that. I'm more like yo. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's like sometimes they're scared of me. Like Jada, right? Like Jada, I always say I wonder at what age they would realize that I am the furthest thing from scary to them. You know, at sometime in their life they would look at me and say, I can't believe I was scared of this guy. You know, like Jada, whenever she misbehaves, I give her a face and I just do this, and she gets so. She gets so scared. She goes, Daddy's good. She gets so scared. She runs in her bedroom.
Oh my god!
Yeah, she doesn't even know that Christy and I are like laughing behind the walls.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
No, it's fun.
No, you'll get to an age where they're like, "Oh, Dad, you're so cute," and like poking you and just like, you know, you almost kind of become one of their peers.
Exactly.
Although you know you're not one of their little friends.
No. and I guess that's the place where I'm at with my mom now, right? Yeah, so I don't know. I think I got a good balance of how parenting should kind of be, you know. And I took what my mom showed me, and I kind of add my own little spice to it, you know. And we have something good, I guess. You know, like sometimes you watch these true crime documentaries on Netflix, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm actually a good father. You see what
you have to go to the other extreme.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
okay,
you see like what is it? I get people doing, you're like, you know what? I'm not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too bad. A little licks now and then might actually help them, you know?
Yeah.